So this is number 15. And the commandment says, thou shalt be equal to others and do not consider thyself higher or lower than them. I think it is very, very important, because as soon as we go on both ways, higher or lower, there's a difference. And if we know where our soul comes from this single cosmic ray, then it absolutely makes no sense.
Yes, this is what I'm thinking. I think all souls are equal. We are all the manifestation of the Creator, so we are all special in a way, but we are equal in I don't know, value, but different in strength probably.
Right, and
Yes.
even as I used to read the holy books, at least in the Christian, where it says God gave man dominion over all the creatures. And I thought, gee, I'm better than all the rest. But now we're learning a new way that actually all the souls are equal. Whether it's the ladybug in the tree and the human, all souls are equal. They may be at different levels, maybe simpler souls, but we know they all have the right to elevate. So this is where we're moving from man being a dominator to man being an elevator of the other souls in a way through this knowledge.
Exactly, and these commands help us to give this elevation of the soul. So back in the time, it was not understood, and people just took it to the physicality. And that is what is the big change since Mr. Cash started with the foundation, that we now are heading for the soul level. And I think this is one of the most important things. So why do we call them commandments? Why do we actually take decisions and live by a command? Because normally it should be clear that the soul is the one who is in lead. And we should be aware of this soul leading, but somehow we've lost ourselves in physicality. So that is what is coming to change now.
I just have a question. Since we're not supposed to be above or below, how do we look at being humble? Because if you become humble, it's almost like putting yourself below. So I just want to know how we can think about that. I think it's important. I mean, we're not supposed to be dragged down and stomped on or anything like that.
Do you really have to be deeper when you're humble? Why not be equal? You know, there's a plus, there's a minus, but there's also a zero position.
Well, I'm just going by how we were taught. I want to understand, what does it really mean when you have to be humble?
Can I explain that? Or yeah, you go, Asa, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking we are equal in value in a way, because we are the manifestation of Creator. So every soul you see is the Creator, but we are different in field strength. And when you go lower, you know, the stronger gives to the weaker in plasma technology. So you receive in a way. So over to you, Asai.
Okay, the way, we have to go back when Jesus was teaching and nobody got it. I came upon a movie from 1947, and Jesus was talking, he was saying, the kingdom of God is within you. Kingdom of heaven is within you. Then he says, don't have anxiety about the food you're going to eat or the clothes on your back. because everything is coming to you. Don't have anxiety for it. And then he got some disciples, and he was walking with them, and they came under this bridge, and they had to sleep. And they went to sleep, and next morning when they woke up, I think it was Judas said, somebody stole my coat. And he was very upset about it. And Jesus says, take your clothes and give it to him too. And he was looking at Jesus, what he's talking about. And then he says, I'm going to be cold. And Jesus reached out to his cloak and gave it to him. He says, you can take mine. But he didn't take it. But then when I listened to him, and I was thinking, my God, he said everything that we have, I don't know how many years ago, and why the priest, the church, all these things was created, or the kingdom there, they didn't come and show people what he means. Even the people then, they didn't understand why we don't get it. You know, the thing is, we don't get life itself because we're still circulating all the things we created as words, you know, I'm lower, high is the humble, to be upper. We're trying to structure it. But it's not a structure. When you are present, if I'm present now, it's very hard to do, but we have to drop it in once, because if I'm present, right now I'm here. I'm talking to you guys. I'm just be with you. I don't have to think about, okay, am I talking, am I in a lower or upper or this? I'm just talking. So the next thing it comes, I finish talking and I go, want to eat, then I eat. But while I'm eating, I'm not thinking about if 2 hours from now, this person come, I'm going to talk to him or this and that. Because when we are present, life itself, which is the kingdom of the God, it shows itself to us. But when we constantly doing things now about the past or future, and we actually, I think all of us live constantly in the past and future, but we also have expectation of people, but there shouldn't be any expectation, none. When we let go of all these that we created in our mind with words, because man plays with words, and we play with words, and the mind plays with words, but the words is all false. There is no belief system in kingdom of God. That's why there are so many of us in so many different ways exist. When you look at everybody's, look at somebody, look at their face, look at their body, look at the physicality, look at the totality of them. What do we see? What do we see? We see someone different from us. But why do we, I'm not talking about even anybody else, even myself, why do we come to say something about them? If, for example, I can tell you many times that I text somebody or I call somebody, they don't respond for like maybe a day or two, and I have all these things in my mind created about the person. But the next thing you know, her cell phone was stolen. And I already had made a story about who this person is, this and that, go back to history, and I created a whole bunch of story in my head and wasted my time and energy on totality of absolutely was all bizarre. While I could spend that time just be and do something. Whatever it is you want to do, we just do it. But playing with words is the worst thing we can do, because we don't allow the kingdom of God show itself to us. Kingdom of God is be present and just do things that you like to do.
And I'm confused. This is not
because I stopped doing that. I've seen so many people, so many of us. We look at YouTube's, what was this person doing, what's going on in other countries, and what is happening here. And we listen to all these things, what's going to happen in the future. They're going to, Bill Gates is going to do that. And all these things, the same cycle, vicious cycle we're going to drop into. But all we need to do, all of us, just be present. You don't have to think about, am I humble now? Am I not humble now? Just be present and it would flow with you. It just takes time. It's not is not getting rid of the attachment is not easy. I know for myself, I go so much through so much emotional turmoil inside, but every step we go to, when you're present, this emotion comes, and it just happens, and I just look at it. But then I think all these stuff take us to the next step, bring us to higher elevation. At higher elevation, we can understand it. It's just life itself is so beautiful inside. When that kingdom of God take a peek and comes, the reality of desires and the reality of hunger and energy, all these things, it just like a sugar in a water, it melts. Like suddenly you have no desires. You have nothing, that you don't even ask for anything. You're just simply alive. And that life itself is not pleasure, is not happiness, it's something above all of it. There's no, you cannot name it. There's no word for it. And then if I want to describe it, it doesn't even, you cannot even describe it, but all of us, we're going through the same thing. But if you want to define it, to me, there's no definition for it. You just have to be it, because it's the first time we're going to experience what Jesus experienced then. When he said to the cripple told him, he says, I'm crippled. And he says, rise and walk. He says,
Oh, yeah, I didn't know.
are you mocking me? He says, no.
Yeah, you should have called me though.
You have faith that you can walk, raise and walk. And he got up and walked.
Yeah.
We're getting to that point of becoming Jesus, the way Jesus was, that we didn't get it that so many years ago. Now we're getting it by just be the life, be just like Jesus. We can make, when we get to that point of touching the kingdom of God inside of us, we can make that alive to, like Lazarus. When Lazarus, he brought Lazarus from death to life, because we are the same. Now we're getting it. And step by step, each of us like taking baby steps, and each of us in our own way, but none of us is the same. None of us has to be the same, because that's the beauty of the world. That's the whole beauty of the world. We are not the same. But they have to understand it. Don't copy each other. None of that. And then that's it. That's it. Just be.
Thank you, Azar. Often we put the responsibility, our responsibility, to someone else. Sometimes it's a priest or a rabbi or an imam or whoever. But does that make our lives easier? I think it doesn't. Because deep in our soul, we know what is the truth, what is the right way. And as souls, we have to elevate ourselves to connect and to become together as a group, as one. So that the understanding may be different, but the solution, in my eyes, is for all the same, because we are all equal. And you know, it's written, Mr. Kesh told, that our soul is the mirror image of the soul of the Creator. Now you put the second mirror and you have numbers of images. And I imagine this like what happened, that we are all in the same image, from the same ray, from the same soul. So what we learn, as Mr. Kesh wrote, we should not become arrogant, as you are equal. There should be no arrogance. Because if we do, in fact, we damage ourselves. And I think this understanding is the point where we learn to become ready to connect to our universal community and our universal friends. So yeah, these comments are really, really helping us. A little thing, when I came out of the system with Marie, we were talking about this, the point of giving. You ask yourself, did I give enough? Did, you know, the ego somewhere always tries to catch you up and to wish or to do something for yourself, and it is not right. And when we were in there together, it was such a beautiful balance, and we both gave what we can. And if we do that, then it starts to open up. On the other hand, if we take on this level, I'm talking about the soul level now, to give to others, then there's nothing wrong with taking. But do we take it for ourselves, or do we take it to give to the others? I think is a big difference.
Jacob,
Jacob, I have a question for you, because you see, have you encountered someone be arrogant? And you say this person is arrogant?
It's not to me to judge.
No. Okay, so you never seen anybody arrogant?
Well, if you look around, some people think they are more than others, and I count that as
Okay.
arrogant.
Okay, I think that we have to come back to the same thing, because what is that perception you have, that you think some people put themselves above others? Where that perception is coming from? How do you know it's correct?
Do I have
because
to?
because God, have you ever seen God come on the planet Earth, say you're arrogant, and some people see themselves above the others? No, never did that. So why is it that we see somebody is above the other person? Why is it that we see that? Does it exist?
Well, I think it is important to know that we should not be.
No,
That doesn't judge someone else.
The question is, why we even saying, because when you say, oh, I'm not judging it, but you saying I see it, when you see it, is judging it, doesn't matter. Because that's the reflection of you, not the other person. Because when I see somebody is arrogant, but I'm not judging it, is my perception. It doesn't exist.
In the end, you are responsible for yourself and not for the others.
I understand.
It's the only way you can change. You cannot change someone else. You can try, but probably it will not function. What you can change is...
I'm not talking about changing someone. I'm talking about when I say, okay, somebody can see themselves upper or lower or arrogant. Why do I say this? But I say, oh, I'm not judging them. Why do I say that?
Well, I judge when I say that they are wrong. I don't say that they are wrong. If I have an opinion about what I notice, then I don't see that as a judgment.
But you say they exist. You said between us, there are people who see themselves above others, so they exist.
Well, do you say that they don't exist?
To me, it doesn't exist, no.
Then you already reached the equal to the others. That is wonderful.
Because to me, is our perception. Because to me, if I see something wrong with somebody, I say to myself, there's a reflection there's something in me that needs to see that. So something in me holding to something that created that. So I just pinpoint to the something that was in me, and in time, when that goes away, which was inside of me, then I don't see any more like that, because I don't see any wrongness. Because there is no such a thing as wrongness.
It's like a candle in the sun. In the darkness, you see the candle, but in the sun, you don't see it. It's the same. It's just a perspective that's different. So it's yin and yang. It is there always. There will be no way to learn if everything would be perfect. but is the goal where we go to. And I think these commandments help us to understand how we should see and how we should behave to come further on.
The gastroenterologist talking, what did he found out? Or she, I'm not sure.
Andreas?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
I wanted to add, I understand Asa and I understand you also totally. What I experienced in the sessions with Mr. Cash in Linz or with the mobile systems, that this judging what Asa is speaking about, or that there is not a question about judging. It's so beautiful and overwhelming that there is no judging anymore. That you don't think about judging anymore. You don't think about others, how they are. You just give unconditional. And that's the step where we are all going to. But on the other side, it's important what you said too, Jaco, for all of us, that we are just aware and we put our attentions to the commandments because we are still not fully on soul level. And this, again and again, looking at the commandments helps us to get closer and closer till all these blockages, I would say, like judging, is not present anymore. And it feels like that every day or every new experience where we go through, this gets loose on weight more and more. We get detached more and more. Thank you.
Andreas, thank you. It's Dean here. Jacko, it's okay. It's okay. Universe Council, if I read this, because I think we did this in the German. We read through it, and sometimes it sort of expands on itself. So if it's okay, I'm going to read this.
Yes,
so it's
okay.
Number 15. So that's significant. So the commandments that were given it was 10. We're now at number 15. So number 15. Thou shalt be equal to others, and do not consider thyself higher or lower than them. So that's the title. Then we've got MK. We've got, and the other one to him was, thou shalt be equal to others, and do not consider thyself higher or lower than them. Which means, when you are equal, there was no leader. There was no kingship. And he could not do, because he now found the power that he could do what he wanted to do. So, if he would have listened, we'd have seen there will have been no kingship. And we said from the beginning, as we are all equal in soul, our physicality decides the happiness, satisfaction of our soul. And there's an extract, but we'll miss that for now. Okay. Then we go to MK again. Do not become arrogant, as you are equal. As you are equal. Then there is no kingship. As men, you're all equal. You are all kings. The king of your own physicality and of your own soul, and no one else. Then you understand, when you are equal, and you are no king to no one, there is no need for armies and no need for killing. And I think when we read those words, they have a very distinct field strength and a deeper understanding. You can go back and you can read any part of it, and then you can open up the words, any part of it you'd like to go to. Let's take the as you are equal. So if we're all equal, we're all part of the same. So each and every one of us has something to contribute to the whole of creation. Some of us have a understanding, and we like to come forward and project our words to actually to bring the knowledge forward. And others of us like to sit in the background and be still and quiet. However, as we're all equal, we're all adding and we're all contributing to each other. We are equal, and you are equal. Then, is that now or then? Then there is no kingship. As men, you're all equal. And obviously we speak about men all the time. We all know that men is a metaphor for us, humanity. In reality, women, the male, the female aspect of everything, the totality of everything is all the same. So we're all equal. There is no difference. Then you are all kings. So when one king proclaims himself a king above others, they take a position where they are responsible for all the others. When each and every single one of us are equal, we are all kings and we all look after each other. And then this king is responsible for the totality of all that is present in the moment. And that is each and every one of us. We are all equal. The king of your own physicality. Your physicality. You're the king of your physicality. So where does your soul sit? Does it sit in judgment of your physicality? No, it doesn't. Because the soul is not arrogant, as you are all equal. Of your own soul and no one else. Then you understand. When you are equal as a king, and you are no king to no one. There is no need for armies. And there is no need for killing. There is no need for armies. And there is no need for killing.
And gives peace on earth.
Thank you, Jacko.
Thank you, Dean. Maybe a little comment Mr. Cash made in the private teachings. He said the commandments mainly was given to Moses to correct him, that by him correcting himself, he will find correct conduct. So this is a guideline we can use to work on our own. Anyone else?
I can add this to, you see, when we say you're gonna be here helping each other, this is now, but the next level will, when we have the kingdom of God within us, is we don't need each other. Go back, we have to go back to weak magnet. If you have 10 magnets on the floor, which is us, and Mr. Kai said one time, if one of you, only one soul can pull everybody. What does it mean? It means one of the magnet, it becomes in a way, in totality, that doesn't see we are here for each other. I have to give you, I have to do the right thing, or I have to be humble. For example, these are, we know, if I enter a room full of people, how do I enter? With a mind that says, oh, when I go in there, I'm going to look at everybody equal, because I'm making it up. I just go in there. I don't have to think about it, put the instruction for myself that I have to look at everybody equal, because when I do that, it means I already divided. That notion of I have to give to people, we're here to help each other, that notion is the notion that people got wrong when Jesus gave the instruction. Because we're going to create the same division again. When we, in totality, don't think anymore about, am I looking at this, am I humble, or if God touched me by his mercy, or if I'm talking correctly, or if I put myself in a position of, I have to do this. There is no have anymore. It is only essence of life that you do what is necessary. And that by itself, it makes one of the magnets that is one of us in a complete, like as if God himself has come, because we are the kingdom of God. And that person, or many of us, if we change in that way, it's going to change the position, all the magnets of this planet, and everything is going to go up in one go. But as long as it's still we're trying to fit things in a duality way, and now they start to live the life, it shows up in front of us, the thing shows up and you just do it. Things shows up, you just do it. Things shows up, you just do it. And we try to work out of responsibility of this and that, then it's not going to work. I mean, this is the way I see it.
Thank you.
And that's what we heard in the formation of the Universal Council. Try to be humble, not to become arrogant in the knowledge you understand and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path as the church and the mosque. We've heard Mr. Kesh, we know he's a universal messenger. He carries the knowledge of universes, not just this universe. He carries the knowledge of universes with him. But I've heard him say on more than one occasion, when he comes into the meeting, he puts himself lower than everyone else in the meeting. And I think that's good advice for all of us to replicate. And we know the whole purpose of the creation is servitude, no matter which way you look at it. So by being humble, I think it gives you more of a impetus to serve the others. And this is the example Mr. Kesh has laid down for us.
I always say learning, then comes understanding, then comes making it yourself, becoming, and then you start to live it. And I think what you say, Azar, is all these steps. And in the end, when we are living it, we don't need anything anymore. We are the sugar in the water. So everyone has the right to do the steps, to learn, to understand, to become, and then to live it. And for me, this is the beauty of the technology, the beauty of the knowledge.
Don't forget about comprehension. When you really comprehend the meaning of what you're saying or thinking, it's a big jump.
It is. And before you can start living it, you have to comprehend.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to make it your own. You have to become, and then you can live it. And then there's no difference.